We're going to get going, and I'm delighted, Suzanne McElligott here, delighted to kick off today's session with presenting to you our ad spend 2020. And firstly, as a reminder, the IAB PwC online ad spend is a report that we have conducted in partnership with PwC, who do all the research and analysis on this study. We have been doing so since 2010. And it is a report based on gross advertising, including commission, in contrast to some other advertising reports that are available in Ireland and in other markets. The IAB PwC ad spend study is one that had originated in the US, moved to the UK, and then throughout Europe and beyond once IABs were set up. The figures are drawn up on the basis of actual revenues submitted by study participants, and data has been included for Google, Facebook, including Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, and other social media platforms based on consultation with advertising agencies and industry representatives. So firstly, a look at the participating publishers, and I know that PwC would very much want to thank all of these publishers for their input and their ongoing engagement in terms of providing their data. All ad spend data is provided completely on a confidential basis, and it is used to size the market. There is no individual breakout of any individual publisher or player's ad spend. And also to point out that there is also data provided under freedom of information in terms of publisher ad spend. Then looking at the ad networks, agencies, and the social media and search companies, these all again participate. And once again, PwC is engaged with them in terms of the ad spend each year, and would like to thank them for their cooperation and indeed their ongoing engagement in this respect. So looking at last year, the overall story is a very positive one. The total ad spend grew by 8%. So the market in Ireland is now sized at 726 million. That's an 8% increase year on year. It's not surprising that the big story in terms of devices is mobile, and now it's 73%. Really, 3/4, you could say, of total ad spend is on mobile, and then the balance on desktop. And looking at how our ad spend is reported, this is the same format across markets, across PwCs, and in Ireland, since we've commenced the report, we look at display, we look at search, and we look at classified advertising as the three key different types of advertising. And in display, it is now 51% of that total spend at 367 million. And search is at 44%, classified at 5%. And so for the first time, display has actually overtaken both search and classified as a digital advertising format. And then looking at the media mix, and this is a detailed slide. Again, for most of you that are our members, all of you who are our members will receive the detailed report, which has a lot more information than I'm providing in this overview today. And for those that are non-members and not as familiar, this is really a very interesting data, because it looks at, the growth of the key formats, if you like. You can see search has increased by 5% year on year. And then social display, so display across the social platforms, and that includes in-feed and very much includes video, a beloved format. That has increased by 22%, a very strong result year on year. In non-social display, which we're calling out here, there has been a 10% decrease in 2020. And for that purpose, you can see that we're looking at the various display types that are including display units, video, of course, that is non-social video, native, section takeovers, and tenancy, direct messaging and email, They are the key display formats, and you can see that all of them have slightly declined year on year, reflecting that 10%. And digital audio actually has grown, and while digital audio is growing and it's a very positive format, we anticipate that happening. Not surprising so much that it has grown in a year where people have been really consuming digital more than ever. Classified has also decreased by 9%. And classified advertising is again a format that is very sensitive to the economy and to consumer sentiment and to buying and selling online. So we're not surprised to see that decrease. So then the drivers of growth, and this experience in the Irish market is very similar to the global phenomenon, if you like. So you can say cross market social advertising is performing extremely well. In Ireland, we have seen earlier it's up 22%. And video has the highest growth rate of any digital advertising format. It's a 30% year on year increase, up to 168 million. And one of the key areas in terms of video as well would be across social video as well as the other video options. It's a beloved format by brands, and new video options came on board in 2020. So this again repeats, I suppose, the key messages in terms of the growth areas in 2020: search increasing by 5% and display advertising increasing by 12%, and then social media 22% and video also increasing. They are the key drivers. And I think in terms of looking at why there has been this strong performance in digital, well, a lot of you are working in the digital industry, but even in terms of your own consumption of digital, you'll recognize 2020 was a very pivotal year. Certainly, a number of bricks and mortar traditional companies have embraced digital, have fast tracked the digital offerings that their companies needed to provide in terms of actually remaining in business. And as a consequence, many have embraced opportunities in terms of digital advertising, and in particular in the self-serve area, particularly for the smaller and medium companies. And this has really been a driver of growth. Similarly, in terms of e-commerce, we have seen a big takeoff of e-commerce, and the CSO provides information in terms of 2020, highlighting that the use of digital in terms of searching and seeking information for goods and services is one of the most popular activities online. 79% of users highlight that as their key activity online. So we can understand why there has been growth. Also, there has been very strong growth in terms of audiences and audience use of digital. So in 2020, the CSO also highlights that 89% of adults are online on a daily basis, and 79% of those are purchasing online. And of that 79%, there's a fifth of online users who purchase more than 10 on 10 occasions in the last month, as ranked by the CSO. So, not only are people consuming media, digital media, and spending more time online, absorbing information, purchasing, but they're also purchasing with greater frequency. So this is all driven the digital growth, and it bodes very well in terms of the future of digital advertising. We would also like to very much point out that during this period, our own publisher members have experienced very strong audience growth, and we provide that information in detail in terms of our ad spend report. But page views and dwell time has grown by 16%. Page views have increased substantially, and actual users have increased in terms of the actual audience as well. So we see our local market being very well placed. It was gratifying, I think, for all of us to hear today, our Taoiseach speak that we will still achieve what we seek to achieve in terms of 80% of adults being vaccinated, and opening up, perhaps at a slow rate initially in May, but an opening up of the economy. So today's conference is really to assist our advertisers in particular to know the next steps, and also to assure them in terms of our focus on brand purpose, that digital is very well placed to meet their needs. So we have, you know, three different strands to brand purpose, and our first will be looking at one of our leading advertisers, AIB, focusing on how they've used digital in terms of communicating their brand purpose and their commitment to sustainability and diversity. Then we'll look really from a platform perspective and look at Facebook's experience in terms of actually helping brands and advertisers use digital to communicate authentically in terms of their commitment to these areas of brand purpose. And then our keynote, Chris Canna, will share his expert view in terms of his agency's insights into how brands can grow using diverse demographics. And so that is the first phase of our agenda today. And then following that, we're going to look at really purpose in terms of our industry, and a very useful focus on our gold standard, which has united our industry and our members in terms of that purpose for really helping brands have trust and confidence in digital advertising by adopting the gold standard. We'll look at what's happened in the UK market in that respect, and how that will have implications for our own market. And then the final element of purpose and the whole sense of time of change, we will look at Verizon and how they are helping advertisers to engage digitally in immersive technologies and to get closer with their users. Because while this year and last year are particular moments in time, we know this absorption and this consumption of digital is not something that's going to go away. And we know that increasingly users are wanting to get closer with brands. We can see they're spending more time online consuming that sort of information, and that experience needs to be better and powerful. And our final presentation is a very interesting one in terms of an advertiser in a most challenged segment in travel, and we're going to be hearing the Spanish Tourism Board's experience of using this challenging time to get closer to their users by personalized marketing and enriching that with buyer persona analysis. So great content. Delighted, Cian, that you're all set there. And